lovelies. Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Self-Care Diaries. It is a beautiful spring day here in Johannesburg. The birds are tweeting, pollen is flying, and my nose is very nasal. So if I sound funny, that's why I sound all nasal. I have a very interesting, not just a very interesting, but the very interesting, the stress buster, Jason Sandler. Welcome. How's it going?
Hi, Lee Joy. It's going very well. Thanks so much for having me join you here.
We're going to have such a fun day because you and I are both very passionate about helping people navigate and journey through and look at the gifts of stress and how we can live wholesome lives. So first, before we jump into before we jump into the stress buster, tell us, who's Jason Sandler?
Who am I? So let me answer one for you by saying, just like a diamond, I have many facets. And the one that I want to share with you today is that I'm the type of person who, whatever I do, I'm passionate about doing, and I don't believe in doing half jobs and things like that. And one of my key focuses is always trying to find the good in other people. So who am I? I'm the type of person that is the cheerleader for other people all the time, and I'm the type of person that always looks for the good in others. You know, even when somebody does something wrong or bad, you know that there's another facet to who they are, which is the good side. And sometimes you just have to dig a little bit deeper to find that side. So I'm that. But my biggest favorite label is not the stress buster. My biggest favorite label is dad and granddad.
We were just talking before, right, about our pride and joy. I told you that I became a first-time granny on Monday, which is amazing. And you also had a COVID thank you. You've also had a COVID baby. Well, not a COVID baby, but a COVID birth baby.
A COVID granddaughter, yes.
Amazing. So, what value do you bring to the world?
I believe that the value I bring to the world is probably on two levels. And the one level is just my enthusiasm for everything and anything and around people. And also the fact that, and COVID has actually exacerbated this as an issue in people's lives, and that is that we are a social being. Human beings are a social being. And a lot of the value I bring to people and to the world is just being able to be there in a non-judgmental way, where sometimes all it takes is an ear or a shoulder and nothing more. And to me, there's great value in that. It's amazing how many people are uncomfortable by being in that position because they are afraid of the silence. Yet there's such power within that. So the value I bring is just offering to be there for others, because we need others in the world.
Beautiful. So how are you there for other people in the world? You're a speaker, you're a professional speaker.
Yeah, so if we look at value from the perspective of that kind of aspect of it, I'm a speaker, I'm a trainer, I'm a facilitator, and probably more than 50% of the work that I do is in learnerships. And the learnerships is all about empowering others. Because if anyone who's watching this knows anything about learnerships, we're taking people who do not have an opportunity to study further due to mainly financial reasons, and they're given the opportunity of getting a qualification that they don't have to pay for, and it's sponsored, and it gives them a better opportunity in their life. And I do a lot of that because my key is to help other people. And the key to helping other people is not by giving them stuff. It's about empowering them. And I always love saying that I will show you that you have the potential to unlock your own power from within the power of your own mind.
And that's the nature of empowering, right? Is one thing to be, I mean, I'm a coach and a trainer and a facilitator like you, and I mean, if we had magic wands and we could go simsalabim, tap you on the head, there we go, no more problems, we'd do that, right?
I would do that without a shadow of doubt. It's like people say, one day when you retire, I love what I do so much, retirement would drive me dilly. I would like to carry on with this for as long as I possibly can. And I'll give you an example. Approximately 4 years ago, here in Cape Town, there's a place called Boys Town. And Boys Town is a home for children who did petty crimes, or the parents can't look after them properly anymore. And they put in this environment where it's like a hostel type situation where they're taken to school and they're brought home and they got homework help, all of that kind of thing. Think of it like an orphanage, but where you do have parents, and all of the children there, all of the boys are from bad backgrounds, or they've just made bad choices in their life. And I went there about 5 years ago. I ran a program for them as a volunteer thing that I did. And I ran this program for them. Approximately a year after running the program, I'm walking in a mall, and this lady, who I don't know from a bar of soap, she comes up to me, and she's got a teenage kid with her, and she says to me, "Excuse me, are you Jason Sandler?" I'm like, "Yes," and I'm now looking at her, trying to calculate, where do I maybe know this person from? And the teenage boy says, "See, mommy, I told you it's him." And I said, "Sorry, can I help you?" She goes, "I just want to say thank you." She says to me, "My son was at Boys Town, and he has never stopped talking about what you did and the experience he had with you, and how much he has benefited and changed, etc., etc." And you know what? Those little things are worth more than the money that I would have been paid if it was a paying client, because that's what feeds my soul. The money feeds my stomach, but it's that feeds my soul, and it's that which I absolutely love. So to go back to the who am I, I'm just all about getting the joy. I get the joy knowing that I've been a cog in the wheel of getting other people to succeed in whatever they do in life.
Beautiful. So how is self-care embraced in the work that you do?
Here's the thing. If we talk about work, my key focus obviously is on stress management. And you contact a company and you tell them that you want to come and run a project or a workshop or do a talk on stress management. And they get so defensive from the perspective of, I look after my staff, look at the environment I create for them, blah, 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 blah. And you need to break it down for them and say to them, you know what? It's not only about the environment that you have created. Stress is something that we carry throughout our lives. It can be something that happened at home. We're not machines where we can just switch it off when we arrive at work and switch it back on when we're on our way home again. It is through us all the time. So from the self-care perspective, it's all about empowering each and every person that I work with, not to eliminate stress from their lives, because anybody who thinks that they can eliminate stress from their lives, I'd love to know what they're smoking. You can't. What you can do is learn to control it. So self-care is all about creating the awareness of what is triggering your stress, and then techniques to learn to manage that stress. Because the negative impact of stress on your life is so huge and so long-lasting and so detrimental that if we can learn to manage it far better, then by default, your self-care automatically improves.
So there's there are two types of stress, right? There's a stress and then there's stress. And a stress is actually positive stress. It's stress that, what would be an example of a stress?
Okay, so before we talk, I'll explain that to you, but before we look at that, what we've got to understand is that everybody defines stress in a different way. An example is, if you're afraid of snakes, as an example, and you see a snake, you're going to have a stressful reaction to it. But if you're one of those people who loves snakes, God knows there are people like that in the world, I'm not one of them. When you see a snake, you'll want to pick it up, pat it, or just understand what kind of snake it is. There's no stress. There's more a inquisitiveness, or a, if you can, cuddle a snake, like some people might if they see a lovely little dog, want to go and pet it. So we've got to understand that stress isn't an umbrella over everything. Everybody's is different. Keeping that in mind, positive stress is, to answer your question, positive stress is when a stressful situation arises that motivates us to do something that is beneficial for us without causing us to be stressed out, which means that we become incapable of doing it. The most simplistic example I can give you is, imagine you crossing a road. You arrive at the edge of the road, you're on the pavement. What would your stress levels be to cross that road? Well, positive stress makes you look both ways before you cross. You see it's clear and you cross. It was because of positive stress that you did this looking both ways. If I had you standing on the side of that road, even if it's a road that you'd crossed a dozen times before, and I said to you, Lee Joy, you are going to cross this road in the next 10 seconds. The first thing you'd want to do is look left and right to make sure it's safe. Your positive stress kicking in. And then I said to you, but wait, we're blindfolding you. And I blindfolded you. Your stress levels, because I've now taken you out of a comfort zone where your positive stress has made sure that you're safe, your stress levels would have skyrocketed. Even more so if you heard the sound of a car, because you couldn't judge if that car was 100 meters away or a meter away. And so positive stress is that stress that benefits us. Another example of positive stress would be when you've got a deadline. Procrastinators will often say, I do my best work under stress. I had a client once who told me that he puts the pro in procrastination. And the truth of the matter is, what drives them, what motivates them, what pushes them, people who are procrastinators, is the positive stress from that looming deadline that's right over there. And that's the best examples that I can just give you right now without going into more specific details on what positive stress is. Compare that to negative stress though. Negative stress always has a negative impact, either mentally, emotionally, or physically on ourselves.
And the various bodily functions, like we could dump cortisol when we've got negative stress, that's where regular dumping of cortisol and high heart rates and all of that, that's why stress has got such a huge impact on our hearts, such a huge impact on our stomachs. That's where the cancers and all the other, never mind anxiety, depression, the mental disorders that come with stress, but the physical
100%.
disorders, the diseases that are accompany high stress levels.
I agree with you fully. Do you know that in America, they did a study in America that said that, the study said that the single highest cause of heart disease is not your actual diet, but it's stress.
Say that again.
The single biggest cause of heart disease in America is not your diet, but stress.
I can imagine. So tell me, is that your book, From Stress to Success?
This over here is my magic floating book.
Ah, please tell me about your magic floating book. It sounds fascinating.
Yeah. I so what I've done is I've written a book and published a book called From Stress to Success: The A to Z of Stress Management. And what I've done is, in this book there are 29 different steps that you can take to learn to manage stress. And I have to emphasize it again: manage stress, not eliminate stress. And I call it the A to Z. And mathematicians, don't get confused when I say 29 steps, and I've used the alphabet, which is only 26 letters, because there's bonus 3, you see. I've taken each letter in the alphabet and I have put something together. For example, A stands for acceptance. As an example, B stands for breathing. And each chapter is a different letter, and each one explains a little bit about stress and the perspective of whatever that letter is. And then it has an exercise, or it has a little piece of homework for you to do, that when you implement it, it will help manage and reduce your stress. Now, I've written the book in a way that you don't need to read the book from cover to cover. You can randomly open up anywhere in the book and just start at that chapter. So on a day when you're feeling stressed, you can pick up the book, you can randomly just open it on any chapter. Oh, you opened it on R, and R is all about reading and self-empowerment. You open it on R, you read the chapter, and then you do the little exercise at the end of the chapter. And all of the chapters, it's designed to be short and easy reading. So the longest chapter in the book is only 6 pages. The average is only 3 pages. So that you can sit and you can read it and you can just move on and do the thing. So it's not a case of I read the book and now it goes on my bookshelf. It's a book that you can access and use on a regular basis with practical end results in mind.
That's brilliant. And I think that, especially because it is the core of what you're doing, and the core work that I do as well, is about managing stress. It's not, like you say, eliminating. So having a self-care practice or stress management practice is something that we continually do. So I love that. I love the idea that one can open it up at any space, any place, and practice that one thing. Because often we just need to click or hold on to one thing that will help us move through that stressful period.
Yeah, the idea is we're not all the same. And because we're not all the same, something will work for somebody and not work for somebody else, because we're all different. And so when you've read all of these, you might choose 3, 4, a half a dozen, or even more, that you go, those ones resonate with me. And then those become your go-to ones that you use. And once you've read it a few times, you will automatically start bringing it into your life from the perspective of, the minute you get stressed, you don't even think. It becomes a trigger to automatically trigger a particular response. I'll use myself as an example. The one that I find works absolutely best for me with stress management is breathing. And the minute I'm under stress, without even consciously being aware of it, I consciously change my breathing to the breathing pattern and technique that I discuss in the book. And because I've done it so many times, you just automatically do it. And it's like that with any of them. When you've repeated it enough times, one that works for you.
Yeah, there are 3 different breathing techniques that I've studied, that I know of, that I've used. There's the box technique, which is the Navy SEALs taught. I mean, it comes from where they breathe in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, and then they do that till they calm down. And I guess they use that technique in very high stress situations. Then there's the Wim Hof technique, but that sends my anxiety through the roof. So I haven't practiced it enough to be able to. I move through the anxiety of doing that. Actually, there's 4 breathing techniques, because there's the Kundalini breathing technique as well, the fire breath. But the one that works the best for me is the 7-4-9. So it's 7 breaths in, 4 hold, 9 out, and then 3 times I do that. And I found that just resets me, and it's not difficult to remember. And so that's the breathing technique that I teach. When a client comes and sees me, that's one of the first things that I teach them is a breathing technique. Because most of us shallow breathe. We breathe just into our chests, and we don't actually realize that most of the time we're shallow breathing. And now with masks, even more so. So we're having to learn I physically take my mask down when no one's looking, so I can just breathe, deep breathe, so that then I put it back on again, and then I go. So yes, that's breathing is really very powerful. Tell me, who's your favorite thought leader in the space of stress management?
You know, I'm going to have to say that I don't have a favorite thought leader. And I'll tell you, I have a favorite thought leader in general, just with things and people, but with stress management I don't, because I'm the type of person that when I decided to specialize in this and I started doing all my research, there was things that I took from this person which I loved, and different, and so it's so eclectic of a mixture between all different things, ranging from certain psychologists and psychiatrists all the way to a book on yoga that I've read, and this. So I can't pinpoint it to one specific person itself. However, and for the life of me, I cannot remember the lady's name right now. She talks all about finding the positive within stress. And if you can find the positive within stress, then you can embrace the stress far better. And so for me to say I have one particular person, I'll be disingenuous to all of the others, because I've taken little things from all different people, ranging from people like Deepak Chopra to each and every other person that you could possibly think of.
Lovely. And tell me, what is your latest passion project?
Oh, sorry. You see, I told you it's going to come to me at a later stage. Her name is Kelly McGonigal.
Kelly McGonigal.
Okay. That's the lady I was thinking of, is Kelly McGonigal. One of the projects I'm busy working on at the moment is I'm working on a project which I call the selves. And what is the selves? The self is all about self-esteem, self-worth, self-respect, self-confidence. And I take those 4 and I'm working with those in helping people. And I know this is going to sound contradictory to what so many people say, but then I like being contradictory, to create unbalance in your life. And that is the key focal point of the project I'm busy with at the moment. And we look at the different aspects of your life, and we look at how to create unbalance, which will actually carry you further in a positive way to achieving what you want to achieve, because all of your selves will be boosted.
Beautiful. I love that, because the word balance drives me bananas. I'm like, seriously, like just the idea of trying to balance one's life is stressful. It just creates stress. Whereas for me, I speak about wholeness. Like, what is your journey to wholeness? And each of my clients live completely different lives. So how can I cookie cut their lives? Not everybody must be in balance. Everybody must do the same thing. I agree with you. I love that idea, unbalance.
Well, let me ask you a question, Lee Joy. If I had to say to you, in your mind, create an image that represents the word balance, what might it be?
I see stones like stacked up on each other.
Cool. And once they stack perfectly, what's happening?
They're standing still. They're happy.
And nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And that's life. If you create balance in your life, nothing's happening once you've created that balance. So the only people who should have balance in their life have all been buried already because nothing's happening. So let's create unbalance in your life. And that's what the focus of where I'm going with this new project is.
Yeah, that's very powerful. So how can people get hold of you?
I'm available through my website, which is jasonsandlerspeaks.com, or on LinkedIn or on Facebook. But on Facebook, I am Jason Sandler-therapist.
Brilliant.
And you can get hold of me. And then on my website and on LinkedIn, there's an email address and there's a phone number. But if you'd like my phone number now, it is 0722-392-760.
Amazing. What one thing would you like to leave with our viewers today?
Something specifically around stress. I'd like to leave this. When you have stress, realize it is okay. Only machines don't feel. Stress is valid and it's allowed. What you do and how you manage and handle this stress is what's going to make the difference. So don't be afraid of stress, but self-empower yourself so that you can learn to control it.
I love that. Thinking about looking for the gift in stress and how does one, go through the A to Z or A to Z of your book. I really suggest the viewers go and get hold of a copy. How can they get hold of your book? Through your website?
So you can, through my website, you can order the book through my website either as a hardcover book or as an ebook.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Well, please, viewers, I hope that you've gotten a lot out of today. I sure have. And go and get this book, From Stress to Success by Jason Sandler. Jason, thank you for joining us today. I've really loved hearing more about stress because I think the more knowledge we have, the more empowered we can be. So lovely to have you all. We've got our campfire conversations every third Thursday of the month. Please private message me on Facebook. The group is the Self-Care Revolution group, or Lead Your Inspires on Facebook, and I can send you a private Zoom link. Have a beautiful day, Jason. Thank you for joining us. Lots and lots of love, everybody. Bye.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Bye.
Good day. I hope you're well. So the Self-Care Diaries is everything about self-care. And so today I thought that I'd introduce you to the self-care kit that we've created. But before I do that, I'd like to share a quote with you by Audre Lorde, where she said, "Caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation. And that is an act of political warfare." So I think that political warfare in this instance has got to do with fighting with that belief that we're not important and that we've got to put other people first. And often we then pour from an empty cup. So we've created a product that we're very, very excited about and has been going to the far corners of South Africa. And I thought I'd share it with you today. So it comes in this beautiful organza bag. And there is a journal, the pen. Sorry, the pictures are a bit funny. There's a journal with a pen. And then there are 6 cards in this little bag. And the 6 cards relate to the 6 areas of life, being spiritual. I don't know if you're going to be able to read spiritual, emotional, psychological, professional, physical, and personal. And there's a card in here that shows you how to use the kit. And then there's a bonus card where you can email me and I will send you your ebook on self-care. So how does this work is that you choose a card out of the 6. So let's say I'm going to choose that one. And today it's a physical card that I've chosen. And there's 1 to 6 prompts on each card. And let's say 3 is mine. And it says, today take some time off and plan a holiday. That is a really awesome idea. And I'm planning a holiday at the end of September. But I think today I could think about what are the kinds of things I could do on that holiday. So that I'll make a note to do today. And so each day you get to choose something new to do. And then you use your beautiful journal here to journal your experience and make your plans and create magic. Like Shukri Tufi said in our one YouTube video, please go check it out. It's really interesting about the power of journaling and how the energy of something changes. He said the energy of something changes when you write it down. The frequency of something changes. And it's so good to get something out of our head and onto paper, because then we get some objectivity and we're able to gain some more self-awareness. So if you'd like to order a self-care kit, please go and look at my website, www.leejoy.co.za, and that's leigjoy.co.za, and you'll go to the shop and then you'll see the self-care kits there. I'm wishing you a beautiful day.